is The Big Conversation right here on Look Up Television. And before we get too much further, yesterday we were embracing Father's Day. We believe that the fathers in the building are well taken care of, and of course we believe that our sons are in better hands. I believe also our guest right here, you are a good father indeed. Thank you so much for honoring the invite. All right, happy Father's Day to all the men that are watching this broadcast right about now. And of course, there was also an interest of consideration when they were saying about, you know, Albert Ojwang being a father and now is no more. It is such a crisis and a traumatizing moment to that particular family. And if you're not a father, of course, and you're aspiring to be a father, all right, welcome to the party. Now, IPOA arrests 3 civilian suspects in custody death of blogger Albert Ojwang, which is now a consideration that is underway. And of course, Ojwang's death, 3 civilians arrested over that particular murder, is a story to take into consideration. Thereafter, we'll have an engagement conversation in regards to the fiscal year, that is the financial year 2025-2026, in regards to the 4.2 trillion budget that was allocated right here to make sure that things are aligning right in the Republic. And of course, CS Mbadi says that this is just a trajectory to really understand that things in the different ministries and different departments are well taken care of. There is a budget to consider, and which is now at least a balance to avoid the protest that we witnessed last year when the Finance Bill 2024 came about. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching The Morning Drift across all social media platforms, www.lookuptv.co.ke, and also on our Facebook and YouTube. Yes, the hashtag The Big Conversation. Karibu sana kiongozi.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Let me take this opportunity to greet our viewers and say good morning wherever they are.
Indeed.
My name is Steve Juma, the political analyst and educationist. Let them enjoy the conversation. Indeed, it's unfortunate, the incident, the country is not going to the right direction. We must put much effort to make sure things are working in our country. We have a country to protect at the end of the day.
And before we get too much further, you've been reading the Gazette for quite some time, and you understand what are the top headlines. I really want you to share for us some of the few things that you take into consideration when you're reading them.
The nation is talking about the rogue police officers, and as you can see, if you look at the front page of the nation, this picture of Amin, this DCI, the Skanja, the IG, and the Lagat, the deputy IG, and both of the things are discussing the rogue police who has developed a network to deal with Kenyans ruthlessly, kill Kenyans and abduct. So it's become, instead of giving the service to Kenyans, it's become the abduction squad and extrajudicial killing to Kenyans. Yeah. And then the Standard is talking about the Kenyans funding the guns and the rebels in Sudan, and the Kenyan government has involved in smuggling of guns to Sudan. And then the Citizen is talking about of Lagat, a network within the State House, and therefore they're linking with the State House and protection from the State House. So therefore it's being protected from the highest house in the land. Indeed. And that's why even the call for him to resign as fell on a DPS. Yeah.
Do you think his resignation matters?
It matters at this point because he's the person, is the main complainant. Yeah. So it needs to resign. There's no two options about it, there's two-way traffic about it.
Well, thank you so much for that lovely insight. Now, the Independent Policing and Oversight Authority, IPOA, has arrested 3 civilians, as we had mentioned earlier, and 3 suspects, that is Gin Amito Abuao, Collins Karani Reri, and Bran Mwaniki Njue, were detainees in Nairobi Central Police Station at the time of Ojwang's death, when he was held there. Authorities allege the 3 were used by police officers to torture Ojwang, leading to his death. The trio, reportedly released shortly after the incident, were arrested on Sunday, that is yesterday, and are currently being held separately at Kilimani, Mudhangari, and Kileleshwa police stations. They are expected to be arraigned in court today alongside Officer Commanding Station OCS Samson Talam, who is being held at Langata police station. Now let's get to business now. In the later minutes, of course, Omondi Ongoma, a youth leader and a member of County Assembly aspirant 2027, will be joining us in a short while. There is a seat. Therefore, as we shape the conversation before he gets in, Why do you think there is an uproar in regards to this particular murder? And we've been speaking about extrajudicial killing for quite some time. But now in relation to Ojwang's death, there is so much consideration. Everyone is talking about it. Now the government is now involved in all this, and they want justice and want steadfast justice to be done in regards to this death. Why is there a more concentration towards this?
First, I must say that it's unfortunate that this incident is happening in our country.
All right.
When the new administration was sworn in 2022, August, actually they promised and they vowed Kenyans to protect Kenyans. But actually, it's a mandatory responsibility on every government, headed by the head of state, which is President William Ruto, to protect the Kenyan citizen in all means. And that is in 2010 constitution that is the state through its agency. The agencies here has been the public, the National Police Service, the DCI, and the military, both internal and external. They have the mandate and responsibility to protect its citizen. But now, what's standing, you'll find that the people that have been mandated within the state to protect its citizens and become the cannibals. They are killing the citizens day and night. There's through abduction, judicial killing, extrajudicial killing, torture. The cells where they need to, we feel that we need to be safe when being arrested by the police become a manslaughter. So that's why it's unfortunate. It's a national concern, but also it's not a national, it's international concern because this is against human rights. The people that we were given mandate to protect our life as Kenyans, and the people torturing us, involved in extrajudicial killing, torture, abduction, then that should be a concern in our nation.
But Sir Stephen, why this one? There have been many others, and remember last year, of course, there were Gen Zs that were, murdered as well. Why this one?
The government and the state can say that Gen Zs were killed or murdered on a protest. They might escape this narrative. Even after the BBC came out with the documentary, they still believe that there was a protest and there was a destruction of property, and they can use that as a scapegoat. But look at the chronological event for murdering of Ojwang. You go and arrest someone in Homa Bay, in Kasipul, Kabondo. You bring the person all the way, which is not even a matter of concern, is a matter of post that in the X account. That's something that does not involve, is not a national concern. You bring the person all the way from Kasipul, Kabondo. It took almost 8 to 9 hours for the person to arrive in Nairobi. Lock the person in the cell, end up picking him again at 11 o'clock, take it to Karura Forest. Intruders, I don't know whether they are intruders or the rogue police officer, pick him from the cell again, take him to Karura Forest, tortured him. After tortured him to the point of death at that particular time, return him back to the cell around 12 midnight. Then they realized this person, we cannot keep him in the cell for long because of the situation. He needs emergency treatment. They decided to pick him and take him to the car, take him to Bagadi. Look at the incident. Look at the CCTV footages in Bagadi. They even took long. This is an individual that needs serious attention, needs medication, and is in emergency. They took like more or less 30 to 45 minutes consulting, and to see, because they were now know this guy is no longer, is not alive at this particular time, but now they want to cover the scenario. They want to look at the tactic, how they go to the emergency without the doctors discovering that they are carrying a corpse at this particular time. So the chronology of Ojwang arrest until his murder, that's what has put us into this and brought the public outcry. And even look at what he posted. What he posted was not a national concern. And if it was a national concern, if you've been arrested in Kisumu, then it be taken to the CID headquarters in Kiambu. You are not supposed to be booked any police station because it's the CID, the Kiambu serves as the Kenyan headquarters for any criminal investigation and all that. So you have to record a statement in Kiambu. But he was not taken to Kiambu for any for him to record any statement on all that. He was booked in Central Police Station, which you can as well be booked in Kasipul for that matter. So you see where the problem is. But we know where the story was picked.
Of course.
On 6th of April, on 6th of May, the Standard Media Group published a story of a called Mafia Cop and then Richest Cop on their front page. And Ojwang, and that particular day, there was someone who sent some officers to the Standard Media Group. They went with the white Pro Box with the number plate of Subaru, and then they claim that they've been sent by someone. The Standard Media Group established the name of their boss. So that particular time, Ojwang picked that story and put in X account. Who is this boss? Who is this mafia boss? Is Lagat, because Lagat is earning more than the president, because he had developed a network of corruption in the bribes coming all the entire nation. And when this bribes comes, it's going to Lagat account, whether it's account, whether it's pay bill, whether it's M-Pesa, is earning more than the president. So when the Standard Media Group developed that story, Ojwang picked that story, published in X account, and Lagat was ready to do away with everyone who's publishing this story concerning him being a mafia cop and being the richest cop in Kenya. So actually, is the man of the center, is the complainant. He need to resign or he need to be arrested. Or if he's not arrested, then the rest are just stories, just poems and literature here and there. He must be arrested and he must resign. And I'm saying here, we as youth will not just, Kenyan, we will not just sit and see our country going to a bloodshed, abduction, extrajudicial killing, and then we keep quiet. We won't keep quiet, and we won't rest until Lagat resign or arrested.
Well noted, sir. You speak out of course, understanding in the context of how this story is elevating, and the fact that, of course, how weighty was this tweet? That the fact that it should be removed, the account should be deleted, and therefore no Kenyan could trace, of course, this message that Ojwang was writing. In the context of that, allow us now to welcome Omondi Ngoma. Thank you so much for honoring the invite. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you feeling this morning? I'm
good.
Indeed. Nice to have you. And of course, when you came on, we were embracing the fact that there is a point of consideration in Ojwang's death. In reasoning to that, what will be your view from where we are? Yes, the week we had the particular conversation on Ojwang, but from where you sit on Ngoma, what do you think is the biting factor in towards this case?
Yeah, I think when I was just walking in, I heard my brother here mention something about extrajudicial killings, and I think he mentioned about Ojwang being ferried from Homa Bay all the way to Nairobi. And then he was supposed to be booked, and then you see how the father followed him with a title deed, hoping that his son was supposed to be bailed out of a situation. So I think it is a concern, because why should somebody be arrested in Homa Bay and be ferried all the way to Nairobi and then in a couple of hours be pronounced dead?
You're right.
Yeah, so that's a concern. And as we continue talking about this, politics could be at play. And then again, my point on the Ojwang issue, people would want to politicize the situation. But Ojwang, apart from being a blogger, he was a political blogger and an activist. You know, activism all over all years through, come with its own price.
Right.
And most of them have died globally.
Indeed.
So there are two ways, actually, there are different ways of looking at Ojwang's death. Killed as an activist, killed politically, or extrajudicial killing that has been happening in the country. Yeah, that's my view.
All right. Yeah. And of course, in the same context, we want now to feel Sir Stephen, in the sense that, you know, Lagat is involved in all this. Then there was, you know, it was just timely. It was a plan. Do you think the execution of this plan now failed?
Yeah, the plan to him, yeah, it failed. It's inside. If the pressure will be mounted for the public for him to resign, I think that the plan will fail. But if he's not going to resign, it's going to achieve his plan, because the issue was to do away with the issues speculating.
But his initial plan wasn't this. Wasn't the outcome that we're embracing now.
Perhaps I think that was his plan, because when you send an officers to go do, you give them a responsibility and you give instruction for the officers to do whatever they are doing, they will carry the responsibility as you instructed them. So, and that's what I'm saying. If they instructed them to Ojwang to be killed, then that's what they did. So Langat has to take the responsibility, because he's the complainer of in the issue. Is the center of epicenter of everything on this discussion. So if he gave them instruction to kill him, And that's why I'm telling you, look at the chronology of events from Homa Bay, being picked at the cell, being booked in the cell, and again they came back and picked him at around 11, take him to Karura Forest, torture him, brought him back, then realized this guy have died. They're trying to maneuver their way out to Bagadi. Reaching Bagadi, they are not sure how to book him again in Bagadi because this is a dead body. Now, what do you do? Look at those chronology of events. Then they were getting instruction from somewhere. Because when a boss sent you, he give you instruction. And you have to do as per the instruction the boss has given you. So that's why Lagat is in the center of everything. And we cannot escape about it. And look at now when they were being asked, when they were being interviewed, the penal code of the police officer, the national police, when you swear to give the public information and you give the wrong information, look at the information Amin is giving us. Look at the information the police spokesperson was giving us, that Ojwang hit himself in the wall and then the blood spilled and he committed suicide. The police that's supposed to protect us, giving us full information before the public, then that's telling you how Langat is the center of everything. Yeah, they're trying to cover up. And that's why for us, Langat, even Talam being arrested, that's just a story that we're not going to continue to entertain in the next coming days. Lagat has to resign. Yeah.
All right. In the same context, you remember there was the concern that Ojwang was taken to Mbagathi, and therefore the point of the plan that I was asking Sir Stephen, in the sense that in this executing this plan, didn't they at some point realize that there were camera footages that would leak at some point, or perhaps there were investigations that would have been done later on to make sure that really what happened in that fateful night?
You see, Moses, what I want to say is that in Kenya, before I respond to your question, there is always a hype when something happens, like something is really heated, you know, people talking about that thing and people trying to analyze something, and then statements like what my brother is saying, Langat must resign, you know, and that heat comes and then it fades away. But me, the way sometimes I look at things might be different, because I always believe that there is a difference, and even most of the time I tell people that I talk to, there's a difference between doing things right and doing the right thing. But in Kenya, and most likely Africa, we don't do the right thing, which is ethical, but we do things right, you know.
Yes.
So the story of Ojwang is not different from anything that has been happening to Kenyans since independence. I wasn't there during independence, but I've witnessed some. Now, Ojwang was killed. Now, what people are busy discussing is the events that followed Ojwang's killing. But now, are we asking ourselves, how do these things happen? Why do these things happen? You know, like what gives a policeman the authority to like order an arrest for an innocent Kenyan, and then the Kenyan is later pronounced dead? Where does that person get the authority from? You know, we don't ask ourselves such questions. Now, coming to the CCTV footage being deleted, of course, if the police was involved, it was going to be deleted. You saw the death of the Kasipul Kabondo MP. The CC footage was produced immediately because most likely the police was not involved. So what we are agreeing with here is that Ojwang's death involves the police. As my friend here give an account of the chronologies that took place, it is very clear that the police was involved, because how can the narrative initially was Ojwang came in, he called his wife to confirm that he was safe. Then the OCS again is saying, by the time Ojwang was coming in here, he was already in a bad state, and he refused to book him in. So you see the twist that is involved. So I believe that the police was involved, and they knew that the people they are the same guys who are going to conduct the investigations. So everything is at their disposal. So I don't think we're ever going to get at the bottom of anything. You know, Ojwang's death. It's just a death like any other. That's why I'm saying, do we take time to realize or to discover or to find out what makes these things happen? Look at Oscar Kingara, if you can remember. He was an activist. Somebody Oulu also died. And these people just die, and then there's some heat, and then it disappears. Why do these things keep happening? To me, that is the main question we should ask. And stop talking about Ojwang died, the OCS. Why? The root cause of these things. Why do these things keep happening to Kenya? Yeah, and again, just to finish up, if you look right now, another problem that I see with us Kenyans is that we enjoy discussing bad things. You know, like right now, if you look at the United States right now, Donald Trump and his friend Musk are not in good terms. But if you look at the news of America, they are not busy discussing the Fed. They're busy discussing the cause, you see. But for us, we discuss the event. You know, to them, they are so busy to discuss the sparks between Trump and Musk, you know. But for us, we're busy discussing this did that, this did that. Why don't we just go back and find out how we can stop these things?
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
No, I don't agree. There's between activists being died on the street during the protest or being killed on the street by unknown. You know, that investigation is vague.
Okay.
But we are taking responsibility because the National Police Service has the responsibility within their constitution to protect us, and this has happened for long, and that's why we want, you know, nobody has ever been put in pressure to resign. So if you take action now into our hands and make sure these people, I think there will be changes, because we in other developed countries, we expect somebody to resign if your name is mentioned in a magnitude of that. You are causing someone's life just and in the cell police station where you are supposed to protect life. Other activities like Uko and the rest, they were being shot on the road and all that. You see that the investigation become vague. You even to know who exactly, even people start guessing whether it's politics, whether it's what, and this. This is very clear. And I've even said, I've given a chronology of an event. On 17th of May, the Standard Media Group wrote a mafia cop. And then that mafia cop is Lagat, the one who sourced money from all over, yes, a network for bribes all over Kenya, from the OCS, OCPD sent him money, and it's making much as 25 million more than the president. Again, on 7th of May, there was a rich cop, and Ojwang picked that story and to his ex account. And now, the following day, it was fake in social media. That story is fake in the social media. Lagarde sent his officers to the nation media, the Standard Media Group, to go and tell them that you are tarnish the name of our boss, and this should stop. And actually, that's where the narrative started coming from, and that's why Lagarde, all the way even before Ojwang arrested, is at the center of this thing. And the reason why we are pushing pressure for this guy to resign, it's these are police officer. This is somebody who have taken an oath to protect Kenyans. We are not, if extrajudicial killing is happening in the street during demonstration, that's a different story. There will be story, we don't know who killed him. This is very, very clear. Look at even the story they're giving us. The guy hit himself on the wall of the police cell. The guy, and then they went ahead, delete the CCTV footages in the cell, all the way. So look at the events. So then we're saying, this is very clear. Even I hear people asking, who killed? We should not even ask questions that who killed Ojwang, who was involved, what was the need. By this time, it's very clear. As Dan Santomari put it, this is a crystal clear case before the public. This is the easiest case before the public. We know who gave the instruction, we know who gave order, we know who sent the officers, and now the other things that they're doing are just sideshow. You know, we are not being killed. He's not killed on the street by the police officers like Ongondowere. We can say he was killed on the street, and maybe to identify the killers become difficult. This person have died in the police cell that has a mandate and responsibility to protect us as Kenyans.
So you mentioned something about let's not politicize this matter, but in the context of all these happenings in the political space and you know, the story of Ojwang coming in play, do you think it's a blinder?
Allow me to answer.
No, right.
I want to remind him that I mentioned about Oscar Kingara, who just disappeared and was found a couple of days dead. I mentioned about Oulu, who was also just disappeared, and those were activists.
Okay.
Now, statements like should resign, must resign are hype that I've had for the couple of decades I've been alive. You know, these are things that people just say.
Indeed.
And I want to ask him, has there ever been a resignation based on street, you know, protest? Somebody just went and resigned.
Indeed.
They've never been there. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, let's not just be, you know, like where I come from in the village, I have dogs, yeah? And these dogs are very loud when somebody steps in the compound, but you do, and they keep quiet, you know? So we've seen people coming out in the streets to make noise, must resign, should resign, and then these things just fade away.
Indeed.
Look at the killings that happened in Ribayala. Weren't there calls for resignations? Did anybody resign? So this is something that we're just making noise about. I'm saying we should develop a culture as a people, and I'm 70% in support of the Gen Z protest. They're doing a good job, but 30% I don't agree with them, like I've always said. Because we should create a culture within us that lead us into ethics. You know, what are we doing? What are we doing? Because today, if Langat resigned, then the person who takes from Langat is still somebody who has the same characters, the same spirits like Langat. Now, how do we get people like Langat into office? Those are the things that we should look at. I agree with him that resignation should take place, but who will resign? Like even him, today he was Langat. Can he resign?
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, fine.
So we actually are heading to a break for the first minutes, and of course, when we now come back, we'll get to understand, of course, the resignation, and of course, it's mass, and as you just mentioned, and also later on, the question I asked earlier about distraction or something, because we are still in the wake of ahead of the 2027 polls. Then we'll get to understand that, and of course, Pia will also have a conversation on the 4.2 trillion budget, which is now underway. So after Historia Ojwang, therefore we'll have that understanding on the budget as well. So, all right, so ladies and gentlemen, you're watching The Morning Drift. We are live on Lookup TV across all social media platforms. Go there, Lookup TV on YouTube. Send in your comments and your questions right here, even as involved the big conversation. Don't go too far. We'll be right back after this short break. Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
Feeling like unwinding and calming your nerves down after a long week? I'm Nika Kala. Join me on the Nakala Report this coming Friday and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on Lookup TV. At Nakala Report, we turn the insanity into sanity and sanity into insanity.
Start your day with a workout routine, an exciting moment of exercise that is simple but powerful for your ultimate fitness. Build your strength, shape and body muscles with lunges, push-ups, squats, burpees, planks, dumbbells and more. Let's work out every Monday to Saturday from 6:30 a.m. on Fitness Zone, a one surefire way to attack your fitness regimen effectively.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Thank you so much. You're watching the Morning Drift right here on Look Up Television. And of course, there is heightened engagement right there. And of course, it is 30 minutes past 9 a.m. You're watching the Morning Drift across all social media platforms. And of course, our mainstream Look Up Television. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you have your comments and questions, remember to share them on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. The discussion is underway. Where were we? Of course, in discussing in the relation to this particular matter that everyone is speaking about it, we were at you, Ngoma, when we were saying, do you think this event is a distraction to what is currently happening in the political spaces?
It could not be. Yeah, mine is that I think from the small discussion I've had with my friend is that he is somebody who is very focused on something, and I like looking at things, you know, I like penduluming my thinking. So I think to me, it might be a political distraction, or it could just be a case of extrajudicial killing or police brutality that we've always seen. Yeah, so it could be both ways to me, because I'm looking at the way former deputy president is now picking up the issue, while just a couple of months ago, police were killing people, and he was calling those people goons. Now, so I'm wondering what has happened all of a sudden. You know, like, you know, when he sent his I don't know whether he sent them, but we saw the police shooting at protesters in Eastland pipeline area at the convoy of Azimio, and the deputy president, the former deputy president, was for it. But right now, he has become the one who is talking so big and talking so, you know, passionate about humanity and not killing people without reason and everything. Of course, nobody is allowed to kill any. So there could be politics, or it could just be a case of police brutality or extrajudicial killing, like he mentions. Yeah, so both ways, both things can happen. That's why I was telling him that when you are off, I believe that if at all there were in Kenya we could do proper investigations, then we could rely on the investigations. But on this, I want to promise you here, nothing much is going to happen on Ojwang's case until we change the way we do things in Kenya, the culture that I just talked about. But for now, we are just doing the same thing that we've been doing.
All right. Yeah. What is the government involvement in all this, Sam?
It's unfortunate. You know, a few days ago, immediately Ojwang died the same night, I posted that somebody is going to say that deputy president is involved. But I'm getting such people. It's in my account. I say that people will say that this is a political issue. This is a case that is very straightforward, because I've just given you a chronology of event. On 6th of May, the Standard Media Group, in their front page, they published Lagat on a mafia cop. On 17th of May, they said money cop. That was the headline.
All right.
Before this Ojwang was killed, the deputy president, former deputy president, I don't know why his name, then he needs to be a powerful man. If they can manipulate the cell, the government administration of the system, the intelligence, to maybe maneuver his way out to find someone to be killed in the cell. That's where he's heading to, actually, because if you talk of political, it's mixing issues, which I don't want to mix issues. This is a very clear case that we need to deal with, the clear circumstances that happen in the police, in the hand of police, and now we need to deal with in a clear case. Why am I saying that?
All right.
Because this is the case that have developed national outcry.
All right.
Everybody's want solution because of chronology of events and all that. This is a case that's very clear. The deputy president, former deputy president, even 2 weeks ago, I think 3 weeks ago, he mentioned Lagat. I don't want to go to that. That there's 100 officers that have been formed out of the police service that are now headed by Lagat, and he was particularly mentioning Lagat before this happened. And then that also immediately followed by the Standard Media Group publishing about Lagat and all that. and I'm saying the police has given a mandate to protect us. When a government take over power, administration take over power, they have a constitutional mandate to protect the life of Kenyans, both internally and externally. There is in the constitution that they protect that constitution. And one of the mandates they have is to protect life. This has not been happening. It's been too much to there's an abduction. The only thing is that when the political interest in my side, we kneel toward that side. When it's the other side, we kneel toward that side. So we keep on changing the story until when will we be able to solve this problem in our country.
All right.
Police has a responsibility to protect us, whether I'm in the opposition or on the government. I've said Central Police Station is not a small station. That even if I have a political influence, I can't send my goons there to go and pick this guy, torture him, return, book him. You clearly see the footage, CCTV footage at night in Bagadi. These are cops, these are police officers taking Ojwang body to Bagadi Hospital, or there is a body of a patient taking Ojwang body to Bagadi Hospital. You can clearly see that this is something that happened within the police, and the police must come clearly. Then we have to, if you look at the Nation newspaper today, there's rogue police officer. Their main picture is there, the Lagat and the Kanja is there. They must give us what exactly happened. Already we know what happened. We only need action now to be taken for those people who engineer this to happen.
Indeed. We are speaking about the Central Police Station, which is now at stake now. And of course the father is asking, maswali yangu bado yako pale pale. Ni kwa nini kijana yangu alishikwa? Mashtaka ni yapi kwa kijana yangu? It is sad, and it is so sad. I'm looking at the justice right there at the Central Police Station, and also I'm looking at the fact that there is police involvement. Thereafter, we are looking at the space that there are people that are the civilians that are involved, and the statement that was given earlier on was that Ojwang, hit himself on the wall. Thereafter, committed suicide. Later on, we are coming to have different developments. Do you think in the space of, this is police station, this is a police station, this is where concrete investigations are done, this is where reports are brought in. Leave alone the story Ojwang. There are many others that have just gone underwater without, creating an uproar in the country. Are we now safe as a country? Are we safe as citizens in the country?
We are not. We are not. I want to answer my friend. I'm answering that question. I'm so happy. Okay. He can tell what I want to say. Right. I don't know what gadget he's using. Maybe I can borrow that gadget so that I can also use it in future. Okay. You know what I'm going to say. What I'm saying is this. Kenya has been the way it is, I think, for as long as tribal politics have been in play. Indeed. And what happens in Kenya is that the level of your safety depends on which side of the political divide you support as a Kenyan. The police has always been used to support a given side,
the ruling party,
and then frustrate the other side.
Indeed.
From where I come, we've seen frustrations, and just like you mentioned, there have been cases of killings that have just gone like that. Look at Baby Pendo. Look at the shootings in Kondele that took place where the police were just walking inside houses and picking people and shooting them. Look at the killing of Jacob Juma. Was there any arrest made? Even if they're made, then story, and then things disappear. So I think we are not safe because politics of Kenya overpowers everything. In Kenya, it is politics first, and then any other thing follows.
Indeed.
So your safety depends on where or which side of the divide you support. So we are not. So you choose where to go to be safe.
Indeed.
Yeah, so we are not safe. And then talk about Central Police Station. He said he's educating me about Central Police Station. I take the education fully, but I've also been there. I know very well that there are procedures of taking somebody who is arrested, there are procedures and processes. But who is following them? Who is following them? Who is being mentioned? The OCS and the Deputy Inspector General is being mentioned. Who mans Central Police Station? Who gives orders there? The IG. So who else do you want? Do you think if you want to do something, can you shoot yourself on the feet? What I'm saying, I agree that Ojwang's death took place in the hands of the police. What we should investigate, like I said earlier, why? Yeah. And then once we get the why, then we could go back and find out why is it that these people get the authority or the chance to keep doing this way that we just find that we just found out. You know, instead of making these noises, we are coming, we have tempers and doing things, and then finally the story fades. We have to go back to the root cause of things. We don't need to get
Steven is saying at this moment we shouldn't concentrate on the why. Therefore,
we know the why. Look, what I'm saying is this. I want to challenge him.
All right.
And from here we're going to, I beg we exchange contact.
Okay.
I want him to tell me if there will be any progress from his why that he's trying to find out. This is Kenya. We have to change our mindset of the way we're
Stephen,
doing
do you
things.
think there will be progress?
Nothing is going to happen.
You cannot come to a debate, you just mind that this is Kenya, this has been happening so many years, so it continue happening. Let's not, it's mixing politics with the reality, with the situation on the ground. So let's not have such kind of a debate.
So do you think we'll have progress? We'll have any progress after this?
Of course, we're going to have a progress. We are going to have a progress. Let me tell you, if you even read, Lagat was even ready to resign yesterday. I think by yesterday, if he doesn't have information, he was called upon from the state link to wait a bit. But let me tell you, this is, other politicians over the weekend, they've been asking, you want to know why, who, those unconsequential questions at this particular time in place, because we already know this story started developing two months ago before even Ojwang was arrested, and we already know who was in the center of this. If you want to solve a problem in our country, if you want to fix the problem that has been there for many years, if you start using like saying that this has been happening, this has been happening. So the conclusion, the first premise, second premise, they make a conclusion. Let's keep what they are happening and they'll continue happening so long as you take a political side or long as you are not in that side, you are not safe and all that. We are not going to go to that direction. Let me tell you, if I'm going to assure him, I'm going to assure him, this is not going to be easy for Lagat and his team. It's not going to be a story as usual. Watch tomorrow and you continue watching. I can tell you for sure and take you to the bank. It's not going to be the same story as usual. Other killing has been happening during demonstration and all those things. They can cover up other stories, like Baby Pendo during demonstration. All that, but because of course the case in court, unfortunately that young lady died. But this is more direct. This is a case that is more direct, and people, somebody, somewhere must take responsibility.
All right. What is the lookout on the progress as Sir Stephen says? Later on, of course, we'll cut short every other engagement towards these particular killings, and when there is a massive protest in regards to this, and no Kenyan is willing to embrace this conversation. It must stop at the end of the tunnel. How do we look at this particular progress then?
Like I said, Moses, there should be progress, but from where I'm seated, I can assure you there will not be any, because for one.
So it affects too.
Yeah, it will. Okay. I can assure you that. These people are just, we've seen things dying. It's a culture, so this thing is going to fade away, Now, let me tell you the reason why. All right. The people who call themselves activists in Kenya, I would say 2% of them are activists, the rest are not. Just yesterday, I was looking at a post from Boniface Mwangi, and I saw Boniface Mwangi in a t-shirt that have some twisted letters, wording. Actually, the real reading should be a very dirty word towards the president. And when Boniface Mwangi poses as a human rights activist, first of all, in as much as we face the president for maybe violating human rights, he was a human being. But when Boniface Mwangi, by putting on a t-shirt that violates the rights of the president as a human being, that disqualifies him for being a human rights activist already. The same Boniface Mwangi, when Uhuru Kenyatta was the president, you saw the statements he was posting about Uhuru Kenyatta, because that's simply because Uhuru Kenyatta has added weight. Now he's insulting him. He's a human being too. So you look at these people. They're just people who are making noise because there is a space for people to go and I said this when I was here last time, and I'm saying most of the people are just noise makers. Give me achievements of Boniface Mwangi. Give me achievements of this. There's this activist from this guy from the coast, I've forgotten his name, the guy who took over from OKECH. He's doing a good job. The guy is always there when bodies are dumped in River Yala and stuff. But now, what is happening right now? These are just normal noises. Progress should be there, but I promise you it won't be there. Nothing is going to take place. First, one, there is no strategy. These people are still using the same approach that have been used before. Yeah, there is nothing new that they're doing.
Nothing different.
Nothing.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Now, you remember, of course, last week, CS Mbadi mentioned something about the 4.29 trillion budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026. And that engagement is coming to us at the point where a few months ago we were embracing that there is a problem with the finance bill 2024. Even as we engaged towards all this, there were allocations that were made, and different areas in the ministries were given different allocations. And of course, we have the education, security, and infrastructure. We also have the health and strengthened police and military areas. And of course, we also have the interest in the judiciary, which now needs to come in handy to make sure that things are aligning. From where you sit, Sir Stephen, what will be your analysis on this particular budget 4.2?
It's 4.29 trillion. And I think Mbadi tried so much to make sure that we don't burden the Kenyan Mwananchi, the normal Mwananchi, by increasing so much tax for that we can be able to raise more revenue to fund the budget. He tried to make sure that we balance, because you look at road, he gave them 217 billion. You look at microfinance, 127 billion. You look at health, 136. Security, 402 billion. And the military taking a bigger chunk, which is 200 billion. Agriculture, 47. Education infrastructure, 1.4. And general help, 1.9. He tried to balance. So the only thing that the deficit that they are talking about is 1.4 is 288 billion. That's the thing, a deficit. He's saying that's going to be funded by the external revenue finance. I don't know now how, because that was not clear to us. Number two, my concern is that maybe they did not raise that budget as they expect, maybe to raise some of the things in the finance bill. So I have to wait until that finance bill to see if we can be able to cater the deficit, because that was the controversy, that was the main problem. So he wanted to run away from the bringing controversy before they table the finance bill. So maybe wait for the finance bill if there's going to be able to increase some of the money, taxes and all that.
I appreciate the fact that the education was, the proposed allocation for education was 702.7 billion, and the sector has been grappling with so many challenges, which now will make us get elevated to a better position. There is these allocations, and I'm seeing 702.7 billion shillings for the education sector. And with the state of education right in the country, indeed it deserves that particular budget allocation. And you can't forget about the TSC, Teacher Service Commission, that has allocated 397.2 billion, to allow this demonstration pia za walimu ziweze kupungua. So in the allocation of the education, we're in a better position.
Brother said, at least for now we are agreeing on something. This thing was done by, I can say, experts, and I don't have the nitty-gritties of the budget. I don't have much details of it. But if whatever was allocated to education is an increase, an increment from the previous one, then I think they must have, sat down and seen this is going to really to cater for what is happening.
Indeed.
I must say the much details of that. I've just gone through the budget briefly, and maybe just to mention what I can say that impressed me about the budget for me are two things. One, the voice of the Gen Z reflected on the budget. That's why. And I'm sure if the Gen Z did not go out in 2024, then the taxes would have been there. So that is we give it up to the Gen Z on that. And then I also saw a response to the conditions that Kenya was given by the international, is it called the IMF? Yeah, they considered that. I know they're looking at, also they should increase their tax collection. They're trying to comply. So you see, that was quite good. Yeah. Then I think the budget was it was good, because if it wasn't, what I know is if it was a bad budget, probably my brother and his other colleagues would be making noise. But since it was done by professionals, yeah, now I think it's a good budget and people are not trying. So I think the only thing we need to see is that even the World Bank, I think, has also agreed that it's a good thing. They're now waiting for implementation so that if they see they can renew funding for. Yeah.
So the government has also marked, of course, shillings 7 billion for free primary education and 28.9 billion shillings for junior secondary school capitation and 51.9 billion for free day secondary education. Additionally, allocations include 5.9 billion for national examinations, 3 billion for the school feeding program, and 7.2 billion shillings to hire intern teachers and 4 billion for various TVET projects. School infrastructure developments will receive 1.7 billion for primary and secondary schools and 1.4 billion for technical training institutions. And I believe these efforts that have been made in towards education will now get to a better position in the days to come. But now it is 49 minutes past 9, so we are having some few minutes to wind up this particular conversation. So Stephen,
help has been given 16.9 billion.
Indeed.
And I think now my student at the university will be very comfortable to, at least to, as we move forward, to see if the finance model can work for them. Let me say this. It is the primary mandate as the constitution of Kenya for any government in the world to protect the life of the citizens. The government, that is the key mandate and responsibility for any government. For any prosperity of any nation, depend on how government protects its citizens. It cannot be that every time and again, the people that have given responsibility and the mandate to protect us are the people that are killing us, abducting us, torturing us, and all that. Then we'll not have a country in the future. Without taking sides, political sides, we must say the truth. We must say things they are. We must try to find a solution for our country because we have a country to protect. If a country cannot protect young citizens, young people, that's when that country does not have a future. We cannot have a state, we cannot have a government that kill its own people, eat its own people, and in the hand of the people that have given the mandate and all that. That must come to an end.
Well, what do you think about the debt?
The debt, actually, the government has to have, with this budget, we are going to see that finance bill, the government has to have a plan because they're talking of 900 billion or something now debts. The government has to have a plan to see, even engaging, I saw Ghana did it, engaging other countries, that if it's China, engaging them to see if they can be able even to give them more time to either repay the debt or build economy, and maybe later on we're back on paying the debt, or reevaluate the debt, and maybe weigh for them some debt. That's upon the Ministry of Finance and the government as a whole to see if they can engage the people that we owe a lot of money. Because actually, for us to stabilize the economy with a huge debt, is not going to work. They're not concomitant. But we can still engage our partners to see what we can be able to do as the time we are building the economy. If they engage that, we'll be able to get it right. Ghana has done that before. Sierra Leone did that before after they experienced a long period of war, and they engaged the country, the stakeholders, and then they were weighed on other debts, and also they were given a period to pay, repertorial period to pay their debts and all that. So that's upon to the government. They has to come up with something to be able to manage that. And I was saying, before you interrupted me, that let's have a country to protect. Let the agencies within the states that are given mandate, because we have given, the security has been given 427 billion. Defense has given 200. Other goes to the police and national police service. Not to kill the nation. That is it.
All right. I believe also that is your final take in the meantime. Let's now embrace that as you give us your final take, take home towards the elevation. It caught my attention the fact that we are having a conversation in regards to the allocation to the security, whereas now it seems the security in this position is at stake. What will be your last remarks towards this particular conversation?
Moses, I'm a Christian, and the Bible says if you want to go to heaven, you must be born again.
Indeed.
So it means being born again, you leave your old sins, your old ways of doing things, so that you adapt a new way of doing them.
Indeed.
And in Kenya, we want to go to Canaan, we want to do things, but we have not been born again. You know, tell me if there's anything that has changed even in the social media. You are in the field of information. I know you access these things. Look at the post from the young people, the aged. These things are still tribally affiliated, and nothing has changed. There is a group of people who are supporting extrajudicial killings because, you know, there's that feel-good effect that comes. My people are in government, you know. So these things have not changed. That's why I'm saying, no matter how much we make noise, you have not been baptized, you have not been born again. The same things are going to happen. And I keep telling people, like when I engage with young people in the places I meet them, because I work with them, I tell them that if they want to see change, then they must change. You know, when you change the way you look at things, Moses, the things you look at change. So these people should stop being Kikuyus, stop being Luos, stop being Luyas, and let us be Kenyans. The people like me and my brother here, me, I'm not a youth, I'm above the age of being a youth. I hope he is too. For me, I am. Yeah. So for us, we have that software built in us. Yeah. It is really hard to remove. It is these young people that can't do that. And sometimes I say that, I support 70% of what they do, and I don't support 30% because they don't have a structured strategy of how they are doing things. You know, first of all, what they're advocating for is good. The things that they want are good. But for you to have something substantial in the field of leadership and governance, there must be leadership among them. So that they say, this is what we want, and then after this we want this, and we want this, and we want this. You know. So I think all these things that you are saying, like I started, what I started by saying initially was, we like discussing events that have taken place, but we don't go deep down to check on the reasons why those things are taking place. You see, so after Albert's death, God forbid, most likely another Kenyan will die, and we'll discuss the death, and we'll give tempers, and the story will fade.
But I think what he's saying is leaders who are inciting Kenyans, not even the young people. Look at what, by the death of Albert, if you look at people even sent to Albert Ojwang father's money, they're not even Luos. Actually, majority of them are filled from other tribes and all that. They're even united. If you look at the entire tribes are united for this cause. Look at what Junet is saying the other day, that let Gachagua kill his own Kikuyu and all, and bury him. Look, Junet himself is not even a Luo. With him, we have accommodated him in Luo Nyanza for many years, and he's not even a Luo. So it's...
This paper that my friend is putting in front of him, just when Albert Ojwang died, I can't remember the exact words. No, I think before, it had posted something about dictatorship and something. It was talking about the governance of Bruto being, you know, brutal and stuff. Can you remember what this paper posted when Musando died? Yeah, can you remember that? It posted something that was in support. And if you want, I'm going to check, and I'm going to give you the heading of this.
I'm not even finished making my point. Actually, it's the leaders who was misleading the... As leaders who are misleading the state.
I believe, of course, the sentiments in towards that will come in handy in our next session, of course. But in the meantime, thank you so much for honoring the invite, and thank you so much, Saongoma. I wish you all the best in your aspirancy coming 2027, and of course, thank you so much, Sir Stephen, for making time as always. And we are hoping to engage now in our coming conversations and later conversations towards this. Even as the family of Albert Ojwang begins a mourning period known as York, we are wishing them all the best, and may the good Lord comfort that particular family. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just concluded the big conversation right here on the Morning Drift. I was joined in by Sir Omondi Ngoma and Sir Stephen Juma for this conversation. Later in the days, of course, tomorrow we'll now get an engagement on how these kidney patients do suffer. She is a lady, she is a mom, she's a caregiver, but grappling with something that now hinders achievement in a way. I will have that conversation tomorrow on the Health Check. My name is Moses Cage. Thank you so much for the department making this happen. Have a lovely morning.